extra this year to kind of get some participation and some real-time responses from people. So if you have your phone and can scan into the QR code, it'll get you into an app or a platform called Slido. It'll say there's no active polls right now, and then when we get to a slide that has a poll, there'll be a question and you can respond on your phone, and it'll give us some real-time answers. So just hoping to get everybody involved. And if you don't get in right now, I move too quick to the next slide, it'll come up, the QR code will come up again on the slide with the poll. Moving along, our budget overview, we'll take a look at the budget timelines, the divisional information, revenues, special levy, and expenditures. Budget development timeline. In the early fall, we start collecting submissions from departments, the school. We also have a public forum, or this year we just did a survey. I think we've done that the past couple of years. January, we have our draft budget proposal. Senior admin brings it to the board, and then February or early March we have our consultation with the public. That's today. March 15th we have to have our special levy set, and by March 31st the final approval is put on the budget. It's passed and forwarded to the province. So it goes really quick. There's lots to do in a short period of time. This year we only got our funding announcement February 9th, and typically funding announcements were out by the end of January, so we're a little bit behind the 8 ball to start with, just by when we get the information. A little bit about MVSD. We will try out the Slido poll, so if you want to take a look at your phone, join the quiz. It'll ask you for your name. You can put your name in. But then when you go to respond, if you don't want your name on your response, it has an option to select anonymous before you submit. So just take a look at that and don't be shy. Just to put into perspective the mass size of Mountain View School Division, it's actually larger than one of our Canadian provinces. Poll is going to see what you guys think. And if you've been to these presentations before, you know the answer. The numbers are still changing a little bit. Let's leave it for a couple more seconds here. Get everybody we can in. And here we go. 92% of our participants said Prince Edward Island, 8% said Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island is correct. Oh.
I took my time too.
So there's our leaderboard. This is the only one that will have a leaderboard on it. So just a little bit more about the division. We have 11 municipalities, approximately 550 teaching and non-teaching staff, 770,000 square feet of schools, 50% of students are transported, 1.3 million kilometers driven annually. We have 2 garages, 5 K-5 schools, 4 K-8 schools, 2 K-12 schools, 1 middle school, and 4 high schools. So just when we look at factors that affect the budget, just seeing the size of our division, the amount of municipalities, the number of schools, you can see there's a lot of cost drivers when you just look at the simple makeup of our school division. If we look at enrollment trends, this is always the factor that also drives the funding and our costs, of course. Over 10 years, there's been a lot of volatility up and down. We've seen a drop for COVID, and for 2026, we're projecting 3,225 students. Now, that's just an estimate. This includes all of our First Nation students and our international students. When we get the funding from the province, the enrollment numbers are completely different because they don't include what they consider the non-eligible students, which is the First Nations and the international students. And these numbers, aside from our estimate for next year, are from our enrollment data. when the province gets that data, they make sure there's no duplicates. Sometimes students are enrolled in 2 schools, so those are adjusted. So these are the numbers that the province bases their funding on. They take the best of the last 3 years. So 2023 to 2025, they're for 2026, 2027, they are using 2,911.2. You can see in 2022, we had a number of 2,945.5. So even though from 24 to 25 we had an increase, we're seeing a decrease in our student enrollment because they would have been using 2,945.5 in last year's funding. Clear as mud? Next slide is our revenue sources. I'm not going to spend much time on this slide. We don't have any information from the 25-26 year yet posted from the province. So just comparatively looking at the differences. There is something missing off that slide. Where the revenue sources, or where the revenue comes from. I don't know why an image is missing there, but it just shows that we're not that far off from the provincial numbers. And even though the information here is from 24-25, by the time we get to 25-26, the portions don't change a whole lot. So we'll take a look at the revenue for Mountain View draft proposal for 26-27. You'll see an increase in provincial revenue. Now, that number there, 671,522, is a lot different than you heard us talking about on the radio and in the paper and at all the meetings. Funding announcement of $200,965. So there's more than one item that make up the provincial revenue. Obviously, that $200,000 is from the funding announcement. There was an increase in the tier grant, which stands for Technical Education Equipment Replacement Grant. There was an increase in the school tax rebate and the homeowners affordability tax credit. And then there was a decrease in our TIF grants and our e-play grants. So all of those changes together make up 671,522. Municipal revenue is showing an increase here of $2,034,492, or 16.9%. Obviously, there is more than one line item that make up that difference. As we go through the next few slides, I'll share a little bit of all the different numbers that float around out there. But when we do financial reports at board meetings, these are the numbers you're going to see on this screen here. So the history of municipal revenue. In 2018, there was restrictions on municipal taxes or on the levies, and they were limited to 2%. This continued until 2021, and then offset funding came to school divisions in order to equalize the amount to be equal to 2% of the municipal revenue increase. So that enabled divisions to keep their special levy at the same level as 2020. In 2023, the tax offset funding continued, so levies continued at the 2020 levels. So there were several years there where there were no changes to the levies that school divisions were able to put on to the taxpayer. In 2024, divisions were allowed to implement tax increases, and that still continues in 2026. So when we talk about municipal taxes, we talk about special requirement, municipal revenue, we talk about special levy, and we talk about mill rate. There's about 4 different terms out there floating around. You might hear percentages on the news that taxes went up, school taxes went up, but which number is it? You have to be sure that you know which number they're talking about, because every number and every percentage is completely different, as you've seen the 16.07 on the municipal revenue. So next few slides, I'll kind of go through this, and hopefully by the end you'll have a little bit of a better understanding, or at least know the questions you need to ask to understand municipal taxation. and school taxes. We'll do another quick poll. Just what is your understanding of the terms regarding taxation on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not at all? I know nothing about it, and number are up to 5. I'm an expert. I can do the calculation in my sleep. Okay, so municipal revenue. When you look at this little chart here, it shows our special requirement, less the HATC, the STR, and the TIG and PTOG. Just acronym them up for you. Special requirement is always going to be the largest number. It's the number that we put in there so that we can balance the budget. And then it's reduced by the credits, the provincial credits. And then you see the $14,071,442 for 26-27 compared to the $12,036,950 for 25-26. That's the increase of the 16.9 that we've seen on the very first slide. Again, that $14,071,442 is going to be the number that you see on our financial reports whenever we're reporting to the board. This slide tries to explain the calculation of the special levy. So special levy is made up of 2 years of the special requirement. Requirement, remember, is to balance the current year or the